a man, who they say he murdered 3. Strange things have happened there. No stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.
Welcome to the shoe. This is your host, Chris James. I started drinking coffee when I was about 8 years old. I only turned professional at 16 when I got a full-time job. That's over 19,000 days of drinking coffee. In that time, I've had some really bad coffee, and I've had some really good coffee. The best coffee I've ever had is the Organic Man Coffee Trike coffee. Julio roasts those beans right there in the back room, which if you've listened to the show, you'll know, at 4501 McPherson. That is where you will find nothing but the best coffee in the universe. If it's too far from there to there, you can go to organicmancoffeetrike.shop and treat your taste buds as if they're your best buds. Dave suggested another show on how different cultures deal with spirits. I thought it over and I came up with not just the bad spirits, but all spirits. I'm not an expert in the field. I do a lot of reading, and thus I think I know some things. I've also discovered some of my research was wrong or the information has changed over the years. If I'm talking to someone who tells me they have information different from what I'm saying, I do try to listen. I'm not one of those closed book kind of people. When you claim you know everything, you soon discover you don't know anything. Sergeant Schultz said it best when he said, I know nothing. If I say anything that you believe is wrong, or you have new information on the subject, let me know. I can change my mind halfway through a conversation. There are lots of types of spirits. Uh, the folks who died, but they don't want to move on for whatever reason. The ghosts of people that are afraid of moving on because they were not really nice folks when they were here alive. People like politicians. I'm reading Early Riser by Jasper Ford, and I've run across the brand new term I am going to use quite a lot. Financially negotiable morals. This sounds a whole lot like just about everyone in Washington. There are things that we call residual hauntings. This is a spirit that goes through the same activity over and over, kind of like a recording. There's also spirits that we don't want around. Elementals are beings that never actually walked the earth as a living person. The list is long, and some people argue about what is and what isn't an elemental. I guess they're the experts. You also have the spirits that come in a bottle, as in alcohol, but I'm not going to talk about those things. Add to this people who claim to know all there is to know about the spirit world, and you have quite a mess. It is possible to read the books on all kinds of hauntings and gain a ton of knowledge about the unseen world. The trouble is, you don't know for sure that the people writing the book knew what they were talking about. A lot of the old tomes about the spirit world were written as a way to make money and not necessarily based on any kind of actual research or experience. Tobin's Spirit Guide by John Horace Tobin is a compilation of various supernatural occurrences, entities, and facts. Egon and Ray refer to it so frequently they seem to have memorized most of the book. You can get a copy of it in either hard copy, paperback, or electronic media. That would be an e reader. Tobin's Spirit Guide often helps the Ghostbusters with identifying entities involved in cases that they are working. Until 1984, there was no such book. If fans of the movies, have asked for it so many times that somebody finally sat down and actually created it. If you do a little digging, you can find references to the book being well over 100 years old. An actual book. Well, not really real. I know the movie is considered old today, but it's not that old. Spate's catalog is also said to be over 100 years old, but it also did not exist until 1984. The word spirit is used interchangeably with ghost most of the time, but then some people will say that a ghost is one entity and a spirit is another. Thanks to Hollywood, a lot of what folks think they know is probably a whole lot wrong. Poltergeist means noisy ghost. Polter is noisy and Geist is ghost in German. Today, people refer to any kind of a ghost sighting as being a poltergeist. And then, of course, there was that movie. The Schnellengeist means a fast ghost or a spirit that moves very fast. Today, we have the name Schnelligaster due to people changing the pronunciation. And it's no longer simply a fast ghost. As time marches by, the meaning of words change. My all time favorite misused word, of course, is still decimate. It still means reduce by 10%. Interactive ghosts, also known as intelligent hauntings, include any ghost that can interact with the living world. They're self aware and they can appear physically, audibly, or telepathically. They may be able to touch people or objects and create smells that are associated with them. Started thinking about John Edwards and some of his shenanigans while on ghost hunts. They may be able to touch people, objects, and create smells, things like that, which allows other people to know that they're there. The smell of strong perfume or tobacco or sometimes gas. On occasion, people have wound up having scratches on their body, and they will immediately say, "Oh, it's a elemental. It's some kind of a demon." Not all the time. Now, just because you get a scratch or a bruise, keep in mind some ghosts, some spirits are not really good at communicating. They're trying to pass on sounds, feelings from their plane of existence to ours, and sometimes things get a little messed up. So just because you get a scratch or a bruise or maybe get thumped in the shin, don't immediately start calling for an old priest and a young priest. Find out what you're dealing with, or at least think about it a bit. Anytime you're doing an EVP, asking questions and waiting to hear the answers on a recording, you're hopefully dealing with an interactive or intelligent haunting. If it will answer your questions, it must be thinking. Sometimes the spirit of a deceased friend or family member may appear as a way of saying, hey, look what I can do. This could also be a spirit associated with a particular location. The woman seen walking, or rather floating, around the Rio Grande at the north end of LJC, L, which was LCC and is now just simply called LC. That would be a repetitive spirit. She never interacts with any of the people that encounter her. A few people have asked why an EVP is okay, but a Ouija board is not. During an EVP session, you're asking a question, and the spirit is either answering or not. If it does answer, it's an electronic interaction. It's a sound picked up on a recorder. During a Ouija board session, you or somebody in the group is turning over the use of part of their body to some unknown being who's going to control them for however long it wishes. Just because you tell it to go away, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to. Historical ghosts are usually lumped in as a type of interactive ghost, even if they simply repeat what they're doing over and over. Historical figures that might be identifiable or you see the ghost and you say, oh, that must be Abraham Lincoln because, well, he looks like Abraham Lincoln. Or that is Teddy Roosevelt because he looks like Robin Williams from A Night in the Museum. These ghosts are usually tied to a specific location, and they've been seen many times by lots of different people over the years. The funny thing about the ghost of Teddy Roosevelt is he died in New York, yet most of his sightings are in San Antonio at the Menger Hotel. He's seen standing at the bar drinking, a spirit drinking spirits. This would imply that there is ghost beverages. Perhaps there's even ghost food. Some folks are under the impression ghosts will appear in the same outfit that they died in or that they were buried in. That's why so many ghosts in the past are always shown as wearing what looks like a sheet covering their lower body. That was the gown that they used to bury people in, a funeral shroud. Here in Laredo, Mary Help of Christians, it's a Catholic school, used to be located at St. Peter Plaza. When the school moved to its new location on Delmar, which is actually now a very old location, the building was rented out to a business that sold used clothing. The man that ran La Economica was having some problems at the store. The women that worked there all reported seeing a woman enter the store right around closing time. Once in a while, she would be wearing simply a fancy black dress, and other times it would be a simple outfit. It was almost always black, but it was not always the same color. Correction, the same outfit, different clothing. Sometimes she would have on a black coat, sometimes no coat, even sometimes a black sweater. She would walk in. She mostly spoke Spanish, but on occasion she would also speak some English. She looked as if she had money. The store clerks were all convinced that she was some kind of a ghost because She would enter the building, but never leave. Luciano Guajardo was our original ghost hunter. He investigated the building and he brought along a man who could communicate with the spirit world. It turned out the woman in black had lived in the building, well, on the property, in the 1800s. She'd been a very jealous woman, not of her husband, but of her son. She thought that any young women that came by looking to woo him away were actually just after his money, which she also considered to be her money. She thought these women were a bunch of hussies, women sin vergüenzas, shameless. I like the way Granny Bibbins refers to them as hussies. If you don't know about her, look her up on YouTube. Make sense common again. The spirit communicator told Luciano that he had convinced this lady in black the women working at the store were either happily married or they were not in the market for a husband. He spent some time reasoning with the ghost. It would seem that he was successful because the ghost didn't visit the store again after that. Not until the store moved on and the school district took possession. Stories began to spread of weird, unexplained things going on in the Laredo Independent School District offices. The folks working there didn't want any publicity, so they did their best to ignore the sights and sounds going on around them. Needless to say, Mr. Guajardo was not invited to come back. I did visit the independent school district's offices a couple of times, and I was pretty much told that not there wasn't anything going on. They just weren't going to talk about it. It's also possible for an interactive ghost to remain anonymous. A common example is seeing an unknown soldier on a battlefield. Usually, these spirits are angry, confused, or scared, depending. Can a ghost feel fear? It would appear so. Think about it. You think you're still alive, but suddenly nobody is talking to you, and it seems as if they can't see you. Add to this, you can't pick anything up. Not knowing what's going on or what to do about it, you might just become afraid. Ishmael has said on many occasions while doing an investigation, he'll tell these spirits, don't be afraid, we're just here to talk. Keep in mind, ghosts are just people who are no longer alive. Not undead like a vampire, but no longer breathing, no corporeal abilities. A group of Civil War reenactors were sitting atop Little Round Top, overlooking the Gettysburg battlefield. A man dressed in a very realistic looking Union uniform walked up to them and began talking about the battle that day. He handed them a bag of ammo, saying, they're going to need this soon. He then left. Later, the reenactors showed the bag to a historian who told them that this was genuine Civil War ammunition. Where the heck did they get it? When they told him, well, like a lot of historians, he was a bit skeptical. Spirits don't eat. At least, we don't think they do. It takes energy to manifest an apparition, so where do they get their juice? Many paranormal investigators have encountered a bizarre phenomenon. Batteries that were fully charged suddenly go dead. The idea is the spirits are drawing out the energy as a form of food. We don't know this as a fact, but it happens so often that it has become the idea. Batteries go dead just before you hear or see something. It happens a lot. That's why I tell people if you're going to be doing ghost investigations, you should know how to put batteries into a flashlight or any device without looking. If you feel a springy thing inside the device, that's the negative end of the battery, the smoother end. Fear is another kind of food source for the spirits. When conducting guest events, we often ask, who is scared or who is the most scared? We like to put the nervous folks at the front of the line. The idea being that their energy, in the form of fear, will attract spirits and draw them on the emotions, and this just might give them enough energy to manifest in some form. Yes, this is just a theory, but it is supported by some evidence. We've had things show up on videos or audio equipment when using this method. Not all the time, but enough to show that it is worth trying. I looked for ghost feeders, some kind of an electronic device that would put energy out so that a spirit could draw on it to manifest, but all I found was a lot of hunting equipment, deer stuff, not spirit stuff. I'm sure somebody has developed or is developing an energy device that can send power out to the ghosts so they can draw on it and become energized, but I haven't found one yet. Residual ghosts are tied to a specific location, usually associated with traumatic events or emotional experiences. This can also be the place they enjoyed being while still alive, and once on the other side, they just pop back into that location. As some folks say, it's more like a recording or something like that took place a while ago. These ghosts replay that particular moment from their life over and over. An odd thing also seen at the Menger Hotel is an old lady sitting in a chair in the lobby knitting. She's been seen by many people who they'll see her and not think anything of it, and then they'll look back and she'll be gone. Oh, she must have stood up and walked away. However, the staff on occasion has seen her there, and one of them will walk over and ask if she's okay. Is there anything she needs? And she'll just smile and say, no, and then disappear. So is this a residual haunting or an interactive haunting? According to the stone tape theory, these ghosts are like tape recordings. They're mental impressions from an event that is projected into objects in the form of energy to be replayed on certain occasions. So usually during lightning storms. Residual ghosts are sometimes called imprints as well because they seem to be imprinted into a specific location. Sometimes these ghosts may only appear on the anniversary of a significant event, such as their death. These are called cyclic ghosts. One question is, where are they getting their nourishment from? These residual spirits have been seen in places with zero electrical activity. The people seeing them are not there looking for ghosts, yet they encounter them. No ghost hunting gear, no flashlights, no recording equipment, no batteries or power source is being brought to the area. The witness is not scared until after the event. How is the spirit able to manifest itself? One possible way is gathering energy through ley lines. Lines drawn between significant landmarks, historical sites, and natural features believed to hold a special energy, spiritual significance. These lines were first proposed in the 1920s by an English amateur archaeologist and photographer named Alfred Watkins. He had noticed a grid of straight lines crossing English countryside, connecting all of the prehistoric and ancient structures. He said these were intentional alignments used by ancient societies for navigation or ceremonial purposes. Watkins discovered straight lines could be drawn between sites such as hill forts, stone circles, and burial mounds, and these represented ancient trade or travel routes. The boys in the white lab coats all screamed and ran from the building. They refused to listen to Watkins, yet had no idea how so many structures from centuries past could all be aligned along a straight path on a map. In the 1960s, ley lines were expanded on by members of the Earth Mysteries and New Age movements. People began looking for ley lines all over the planet. One way to find these energy sources is to use dowsing rods. Once you have a line on the map, you can quickly find its connections to a couple of sites with some form of mystic history. There is energy under the ground. It has been recorded using all kinds of equipment. A spirit could be pulling power up from the ground. Even water flowing between the banks of a river will create a small amount of energy. Maybe the spirit has the ability to store up these small amounts of energy until it has enough to make an appearance. Orbs are balls of light that are believed to be the souls of the deceased. They are caught on photos all the time. Some people believe an orb is the first form a ghost takes before it can become a full bodied apparition. Orbs are among the most commonly reported phenomenon in paranormal photography and videography. These circular, translucent anomalies appear as balls of light in photographs and videos, often claimed to be the manifestation of spiritual energy. Orbs have also been seen during other types of encounters. A lot of people have seen orbs just before running into a cryptid. Others say the orbs are their own kind of entity. This is how they're going to look all the time. Some kind of a round, lit up being. A lot of what we know about orbs is through the psychics. They interact with or receive information from the orb and then they tell us what they've learned. This is not what some would call scientific, but it is repeatable. Skeptics will change the rules as soon as they have any kind of a contradiction to their beliefs. One rule most investigators have is don't bring anything home. It happens on occasion, and people have freaked out thinking now they're going to have to move. One way to avoid any kind of a spirit attachment is don't pick up any souvenirs. A simple thing like a piece of broken glass, a rock, a neat looking item, uh, say it's a toy, it might cause the spirits to follow you home. The LPRS begins every investigation with prayer. Keep everybody safe. And then there's a second prayer before we leave. If you get home and suddenly you think you may have brought home something to haunt your place, first thing, did you accidentally pick something up? If so, take it back right away. It doesn't work throwing it in the trash. It has to be returned to where you found it. Just ask the folks working at Mount Pele in Hawaii. Another option is to try ignoring the activity. This is an idea that I read many years ago, but I can't quite remember who wrote the article or where I read it. You hear things going bump in the night. Don't go looking. Don't walk through the house with a flashlight with your heart pounding in your ears, thinking you now have some kind of a thing in your house. Try to ignore it. The spirit making the noise is going to get bored real quick and hopefully leave. Plus, by you're not adding to its energy with your fear, it's supposed to get hungry and go looking for nourishment, usually back where it came from. Some people say that you need to keep your spirits entertained if you want to keep them. Spirits make noise to let us know that they're there. If you want to interact with them, you decide you don't want the ghost to leave, you should do things to keep them happy. Ghosts have been known to read books. People see them in the library. People have seen them sitting on park benches reading a book only to have them vanish. Now, I don't know if what they're reading is a ghost book or if it's an actual book. But as you can see by what's behind me, I have a few books. You want to have something around the house to keep the ghost happy, keep it entertained. Maybe it likes to watch TV. The little girl that haunts the mall likes to ride up and down in the elevator, and apparently she does the same thing at the health department. Uh, if they ever do something to disable the elevator, it could get her upset. Saging, if you decide you don't want the ghost in your house, is recommended by a lot of people. Say you've got a ghost that's just so annoying you want it gone. I knew a guy that lived in a house that he said it was haunted. It was in the north side of League City, out by what used to be an airport, a very, very small airport. It's a housing development today. He would say that he would tell me that you walk into the bathroom and sit down on the throne, and the door would swing wide open. He said if you closed the door and you locked it and sat down on the throne, the door would swing open again. He said things would disappear from room. You set your keys down on the counter in the kitchen. You turn back around and the keys are gone. You get a glass out of the cabinet. You set it on the counter. 2 minutes later, the glass is missing. Even if you filled it with iced tea, you find it back in the cabinet. He didn't know about saging. Once again, I'm no expert, but I have known a lot of people that I believe were. If you're going to sage your house, to begin with, you can buy sage for saging or smudging at Amazon.com. Where else? Open all the doors and windows in the house. If you have cats, well, that could be a problem. Once you've got all the doors and windows open, you start in one corner, all the way in the corner, not in the middle of the room, and you start moving through the building from one end to the other. You open all the closet doors, you smudge inside the closets. You want to make sure that that smoke is everywhere. Cabinets as well. It doesn't matter if it's a super small cabinet, the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. You want the smoke inside them. And you move in a pattern towards the other end of the building. You don't want to just randomly walk through the place. Once you're done, once you have thoroughly smoked the entire house, geez, that sounds like a dope reference. Once you've saged the entire house, you take what's left, the burnt bundle, outside and you bury it either in a garden or on your lawn. You don't throw it away. That's what they tell me. Like I said, I don't know for sure. I've never done this, but I have had a few friends that did it a lot. Things that go bump in the night can be annoying. Things that smell like sulfur, well, that's something different. That's something you want to get rid of. A haunting is scary. A possession can be dangerous. You'll need an old priest and a young priest and a few cans of split pea soup. Not everyone is scared of the spirits. There are some folks who might welcome a roommate, even if you can't see them. People say if you do have a ghost in your home and you don't want to get rid of it, try giving the ghost something to do. What that might be is up to interpretation. Books are good. I've heard of a few times of where the ghost has actually taken books off of the shelf. I don't know about leaving the TV on all the time. There was one guy, he had the ghost of a cat in his living room. He would never see it in the living room, never smell it. There was no litter box. But if he was outside looking in through the window, he would see the cat sitting on the couch. Ghosts of children give me the creeps. My biggest question is, are these really ghosts or something else? Something looking to do bad things. That little girl seen all over Laredo, that's my favorite nemesis. She follows none of the rules of how ghosts are supposed to behave. Yet the folks who see her all say that she looks like a solid thing, a solid individual, right up until she vanishes from sight. I talk about Annabelle Lee once in a while, actually a lot. Vic Hermanson has created an entity that I say I have seen outside of my studio looking in the window. Not really, but it could happen. I've caught movement out of the corner of my eye. We do joke about her being more real than she should be. She was created using a computer. Computers use electricity. She just might be a little more real than not. Only time will tell. The little girl is seen all over Laredo, as far as I know, never in abandoned structures, never in old buildings without power. She's been seen in the shopping mall, theaters, the health department, sports arena, the college, you name it, everywhere. Even several restaurants and motels. The description is always the same: a 7 to 9 year old, shoulder length brown hair, fancy white dress. There's no question where she gets her energy. The whole town is full of it. Energy. It's full of energy. There are people who discover there is the spirit of a young girl in some location. They take toys, candy, all the things that a living kid would want to make the ghost feel, well, less unalive. I understand how these people feel, but I also think they might want to be a lot more cautious. I'm not the only one who thinks this way. You do have to ask, why is there a ghost child? What could possibly be keeping them here? One thing is for sure, never invite one to come home with you. Animal ghosts are something the folks who have them don't want to lose again. People will identify the creature they've seen or heard or just the effects of it being there and assign it as being a recently passed on pet. I've heard of people continuing to put out food and toys for the spirit animal as if they are still living. I guess as long as the ghost is being played with or shown affection or attention, it will continue receiving energy and stay around. For how long would depend on the spirit. Do animals reincarnate? I think so. I've had a few pets that acted way too much like other pets that I'd had. I've had strays come up to me and act as if I'm somebody they know. And sometimes they look like an animal I used to know. In Japan, honoring the deceased is a deeply rooted cultural, spiritual practice, blending Buddhism, Shinto, and other traditions, and structured process of mourning and remembrance. Most Japanese funerals are Buddhist, about 90%. Their ceremonies following their rites. Shinto accounts for about 5% of the services for the rest of the people. Then you've got a mixture of other beliefs. Buddhism focuses on impermanence, rebirth, and a peaceful transition that makes it a well suited funeral customs. The Shinto emphasize on the purification guides ritual to protect the living and help the spirits move on. They want them to go to the next level. A wake is held soon after death, often in the home, where the family and guests offer incense, flowers, and their condolences. Guests sometimes give the homeowner money, which is then returned in small amounts as a form of a remembrance gift. The funeral follows the wake usually the next day at a temple or a funeral home. A Buddhist priest will chant the certain rites over the deceased, and then the deceased is sometime given a new name to prevent them from returning to the living world. Cremation is the most common method. 99.81% of Japanese deceased are cremated. Mourning in Japan is relatively brief. Families may visit the gravesite, place flowers or other offerings, say a few prayers, but a lot of them, that's kind of it. The emphasis is on helping the deceased spirit transition smoothly and maintaining a respectful, orderly process. One thing is for sure, if we ever have a zombie outbreak, Japan will probably be in the right place. Them in India. You can't come back as a zombie if you're nothing but a pile of ashes. Who was it? Somebody suggested that any time we bury a person here in the United States, the funeral director should tie their shoelaces together. That'll keep them from wandering around. The practice of ancestor worship is deeply rooted in both Shinto and Buddhist tradition, and many families maintain a small home altar called a butsudan or a kimadana. These altars are used to offer daily prayers and food to the deceased ancestors, ensuring their spirits are cared for and that the family remains connected to their past. Yuri are often described as restless spirits of the dead who have not found peace. Unlike ghosts in other cultures, Yuri are typically associated with specific circumstances surrounding their deaths, such as unresolved issues or some kind of a tragic event. They are believed to wander the earth seeking some form of closure or revenge. Ghosts in Japan tend to be nasty beings that are out to attack people, while the ancestors are taken care of and just hang around being dead relatives. If you discover you have a Yuri hanging around and you really don't want the drama in your life, there are some things you can do. One cure is giving them a proper funeral and post funeral rites. There is a ritual to be performed for folks who died but did not receive a proper funeral. You can try to invite the spirit back to the living world with offerings and prayers, and then try guiding them to the afterlife. The old go to the light you hear from time to time. If the Yuri is tied to an unresolved life event, try helping resolve this issue if you can. That should get them to move on. This might be a bit hard if the Yuri was the victim of, oh, say, a gangland murder or uh, some supernatural or natural event. Try setting up a memorial altar with items that this deceased enjoyed, such as rice, fruit, incense, flowers, symbolic objects. Make them feel at home, as it were. It might give them a reason to no longer go around looking for a fight. Even an evil entity, if it's kept happy, will not be quite so evil. That's the theory, anyway. Offer them a drink. Apparently, the spirits like alcohol, either sake or water, depending. If you've got a teetotaler ghost, well, don't give them any booze. You're supposed to wash and cleanse the entire area where you've seen the Yuri to remove any negative energy. Then you can use purification rituals to ward off any residual spirits. Some people will place salt at the entrance or in all the corners of their home. In some traditions, bright colors are used to scare away the spirits. Buddhists or Shinto priests may perform an exorcism to guide the spirit away. Now, this is often combined with prayers, sutras, and symbolic gestures. Ancient Slavic beliefs about death and the afterlife were deeply rooted in animism, the nature worship. The Slavs viewed the world as inhabited by various spirits, and death was seen as a transition and not the end. They believed that the deceased would continue to exist in some form and that they would influence the living. With the arrival of Christianity in the Slavic regions, significantly impacted the ideas about ghosts and how to deal with them. Christianity introduced new concepts of heaven and hell, yet many traditional beliefs persisted, sometimes merging with the Christian teachings. Regional variations exist in ghost beliefs across Slavic countries. The Russians have a deep, rich tradition of water spirits. The Poles emphasize the role of household spirits. These different ideas, local customs, and environmental factors, the historical experience, all combined to create how people look on the spirit world or the supernatural. The Rushalka is a water spirit, often depicted as being a beautiful young lady who died tragically, usually being drowned. They are known to lure men to their watery graves and are associated with fertility and the cycle of life and death. They're not nice ghosts, they're trying to kill you, but they're also considered to be associated with other things. The Vodanoia, Vadanoia is a male counterpart to the Rusalka. This water spirit is typically portrayed as being an old man with features resembling a frog. Why is it the women get to be beautiful and young and the men are all old and ugly? He is known for his connection to the rivers and lakes, often guarding the water fiercely. You do anything bad at the water ledge and you're liable to have one of these things come at you. The domovoi is a household spirit believed to protect the home and the family. Domovoya are generally benevolent but can become mischievous if the household is not properly cared for. If you don't wash the dishes or you let the laundry pile up around the house, you're asking for a haunting. They're often invoked during rituals to ensure good fortune. The upire is a Slavic vampire, a creature that rises from the grave to prey on the living. Upires are often depicted as more gruesome in their appearance, embodying the fear of the dead and the unknown. Vampires were not good looking until Bela Lugosi made Dracula a world famous figure. Ghosts often represent the ancestors, reminding the living of their heritage and their responsibilities to their family and community. Many ghost stories carry moral lessons warning against behavior that might lead to tragic outcomes, urging respect for the dead. Ghosts are integral to the storytelling traditions of Slavic cultures, serving as symbols of national identity and their collective memory. Customs for honoring the dead are prevalent in Slavic cultures, reflecting the importance of memory and respect for the ancestors. All Souls Day is observed to honor deceased relatives, visiting graves and offering prayers. Practices such as lighting candles or leaving food offerings are designed to appease wandering spirits and ensure they find peace. Quite a few cultures use food to keep the dead in peace. Maybe ghosts can consume food, but we here in the West just haven't tried it yet. Now, I know if I leave food outside for any reason, it is going to be gone by morning. This is not a ghost. It's probably either the possum that lives on the front porch, or it's one of the many cats that live in the cat castle that I built. Every morning I have to open the hood of our vehicles before we go anywhere to make sure the possum or one of the cats isn't under there doing whatever nonsense they do. If you have a possum living around your home, this is actually a good thing. They eat ticks and a lot of bugs. They seldom have rabies. They do act as if they're sick, but that's just an act. They'll fall over and look like they're dead. That's where the term playing possum comes from. There was a party being held at the San Augustine Ballroom in the lower section of La Posada. As the night was winding down, the folks holding the party invited the staff to go ahead and help themselves to any of the food. As the workers were approaching the table, the lights went out. It was pitch black for a few seconds. There was no sound, but when the lights came back on, all the food on the table had been smeared around and a lot of it was laying on the floor. Kind of wonder why. La Posada has a long history of bizarre activities. It's not that old, but the hotel is built on the site of the old Laredo High School that served the migrant students. Back in 1961, the Laredo School District met in December and voted to close the school, tear it down, and rebuild a high end hotel on the site. The students coming back from Christmas break discovered they no longer had a school to attend. How nice was that? Laredo Junior College allowed the students to use the former home ec building as their school until a new place could be found. Schools have a reputation for hauntings. I think it's all that energy that the kids have. Energy us old folks should get some of. But spirits are attracted to energy, and maybe that's why so many schools have unexplained occurrences. Could this be the reason La Posada has so many weird things going on, or is this just how hotels and motels have a reputation for being haunted? Just about every hotel I've visited asking if they had any weird question, asking if they had any weird experiences, I was usually told yes. Shamanism is a spiritual practice that involves the practitioner interacting with the spirit world through altered states of consciousness, such as a trance. The goal of this is usually to direct spirits or spiritual energy into a physical world for the purpose of healing, divination, or to aid human beings in the tribe or the community. It is found all over the world. It's not one form of belief, but it encompasses any culture that is in contact with the spirit world. A lot of the people refer to the practitioner as a shaman or shamans with an S on the end. I looked it up and I found that the word is shaman, no S, but it depends on who you ask. African culture is a mix of many beliefs. We're talking a huge chunk of land with many tribes scattered all about. When it comes to ghosts and spirits, each community has a unique belief system. They share a common emphasis on the significance of spirituality in everyday life. Many African cultures consider the spirits to be part of everyday life, dead but not gone. Spirits play a pivotal role in shaping the experiences of individuals and communities. They are believed to influence daily affairs, guide decisions, and provide protection. Rituals, ceremonies, and offerings are often conducted to honor these spirits. Ancestral spirits are the ghosts of deceased ancestors who are revered for their wisdom and guidance. Hopefully, you don't have some crazy old uncle who's trying to guide you. They're seen as protectors, and their descendants are often invoking them in rituals. Nature spirits inhabit natural elements such as rivers, mountains, and trees. They are believed to govern the forces of nature and are often associated with fertility, agriculture, and weather. Many African cultures worship specific gods and goddesses who oversee various aspects of their lives, including health, war, and prosperity. These deities are often linked to specific tribes or regions. The spirit world and Africa belief system are often seen as parallel realities that coexist with the physical world. It is a place where the ancestors reside, where spirits roam, and where supernatural forces can influence human affairs. The boundary between these realms is fluid, and the rituals are designed to bridge this gap, allowing for communication and interaction between these two worlds. Spirits can provide guidance and protection to the living. Respect and offerings are essential to appease and honor these spirits. Rituals are necessary to maintain balance between the physical and the spirit world. Maintaining harmony with the spirit world is crucial for personal and communal well being. Disruption or disrespect towards the spirits can result in misfortune, illness, and social discord. Spirits are often categorized as either benevolent or malevolent. Good spirits are associated with protection, blessing, and guidance, while the evil spirits may cause harm and misfortune. Many communities hold annual or seasonal feasts with traditional food and drinks offered to their ancestors. Once more, the ghosts are being fed food like what you and I would eat. The elders tell stories handed down from generation to generation, so the young folks will remember the dead. Spirit possession is a significant aspect of certain African spiritual practices where individuals will enter into a trance state to communicate with the spirits. This phenomenon often occurs during rituals, allowing the possessed individual to serve as a medium for the spirit to convey messages or perform healing. To us in the West, possession is one of the worst things. In Africa and a few Caribbean countries, this is all part of honoring the dead. Being possessed is considered normal, sometimes even a good thing. Shaman or traditional healers occupy a crucial position in African spirituality, acting, my cat's in between me and my notes, acting as an intermediary between the physical world and the spiritual realm. He stuck his head down in front of my other computer and I can't see what I'm talking about. If I don't use notes, I will get confused and start talking about other things. A shaman will sometimes use drums, certain substances, or sacred objects in order to communicate with the spirit world, so the ghost can lead the tribe or the community in the right direction. Sacrifices are also often used to appease the dead for their help. The origins of shamanism in South America can be traced back to prehistoric times. There's evidence of these practices found in archaeological sites and ancient cave paintings. Shaman, known as medicine men or women, emerged as intermediaries between the human and spirit worlds, serving as healers, spirit guides, and protectors of the community. Sound familiar? In Central and South America, traditionally the figure of the shaman is revered. In indigenous cultures, shaman are individuals believed to possess extraordinary abilities to access the spirit world, communicate with supernatural entities, and harness unseen power for healing, divination, and guidance. Shamanic beliefs in South America often involve the concept of spirit guides and animal totems. Spirit guides are believed to protect and assist individuals with an animal, animal, with an, I'm making up words again, an animal, kind of like how Cam and Kyle are always talking about the noose, things like that, or the hyena. Try this again. The access to spirit world shaman often induce. Uh, if you don't listen to expanded perspectives, you don't know what you're missing. These guides are a trip. Check them out. Cam Hale and Kyle Filson, and they're from Texas, so that helps. To access the spirit world, shaman often induce altered states of consciousness through various techniques such as chanting, drumming, dancing, or the consumption of psychoactive substances. These altered states allow shaman to transcend the physical realm and communicate directly with the spirit world. Ayahuasca is a South American psychoactive concoction prepared from the Banisteriopsis caapi vine and the dimethyltryptamine, easier known as DMT, plant used by indigenous cultures in the Amazon in the Orinoco Basin as part of traditional medicine and shamanism. Now he is looking in the camera. What I find fascinating and a bit, well, actually a whole lot hard to fathom, what just about everybody that uses this substance has seen. They call them machine elves or DMT elves. These are humanoid creatures that live in the psychedelic hyperspace. They're only encountered by people that take large doses of DMT or ayahuasca. The description is almost always the same, a kind of a robotic, elf like creature. There are lots of questions about their origin. Are they inhabitants of some other dimension? Are they spirits or souls of past humans? Are they divine beings or angels? These beings appear sentient and autonomous. They'll try to communicate with the person that is tripping. It looks as if they are studying the people that encounter them. These elves will show the trippers different objects or locations, and they will sometimes even play pranks on them. Nobody knows for sure, but there have been some interesting attempts to catalog these beings to better understand who or what they may be. Rituals and ceremonies hold immense significance in South American shamanism and spirituality. Elaborate ceremonies such as healing rituals and spirit quests are conducted by shaman to treat illnesses, facilitate spiritual transformation, or mark important life events. These ceremonies are often involving music, dance, and the use of sacred objects or psychedelic substances. Shamanism in South America places a strong emphasis on healing practices. Shaman are believed to possess the knowledge and the techniques to cure just about anything, physical or spiritual, through traditional methods. Healing rituals often involve the use of sacred chanting, drumming, and the invocation of the spirit world. South American mythology is rich in supernatural beings and entities, each holding a distinct role and significance in the belief system and the indigenous community. These entities range from benevolent natural spirits uh, to guardian deities to powerful demons and tricksters. Shaman often interact with these beings during altered states of consciousness, seeking their guidance or assistance in healing rituals and spiritual quests. Shamanism and spirituality are deeply intertwined with indigenous beliefs and storytelling traditions of South America. Myths, legends, creation stories are passed down through generations, providing a tapestry of knowledge about the origins of the world, the nature of the supernatural realm, and the roles that us humans play in it. Now, doesn't South American shamanism sound almost exactly like African shamanism? I would say that somebody long ago sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and spread this belief system. Ah, but the historians will scream at me, saying that people never sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. It was just too big and scary. While at the same time, the Polynesians were sailing across the Pacific Ocean, which is a heck of a lot bigger, in canoes. Why would one group of people be so darn brave and the other group such a bunch of cowards? El Dia de Muertos, aka the Day of the Dead, is a holiday celebrated in Mexico and Central America. It is becoming quite popular in the US as folks are bringing traditions north. The holiday focuses on gathering of families and friends to pray for and remember friends and family members who have died. The celebration occurs on November 1st and 2nd, which just happens to connect to All Saints' Day, November 1st, and All Souls' Day, November 2nd. I forgot to say it connects with Halloween. All Souls' Day and All Saints' Day. Traditions connected with the holiday include building altars at home, honoring the deceased. They are decorated with photographs of those who passed on, sugar skulls, marigolds, and the favorite food and beverages of the departed. Visiting graves with gifts is often done by some families. Due to occurring directly after Halloween, the Day of the Dead is sometimes thought to be the same or a similar holiday. Mexican academics are divided on the exact origins of the Day of the Dead. Most consider it to be a mixture of both indigenous and European Catholicism. Rituals celebrating the death of ancestors have been observed by these civilizations as far back as 3,000 years ago. The festival that became the modern Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, fell on the ninth month of the Aztec calendar, which was about August, and was celebrated for an entire month. Current modern day depictions of the festival have more in common with the European tradition of the Danse Macabre, which was also a celebration of the dead. The festival was moved to the end of October, well, the beginning of November, by the Spaniards so that it would synchronize with the Catholic All Hallows Tide or All Hallows Eve, Halloween. The veil is said to be the thinnest around this time. Spirits can cross from there to here, visiting their families and their friends. Now, I have yet to hear from any of my friends who have actually seen any of their deceased relatives on either November 1st or 2nd. If you have, let me know. I'll do a show about it, or I'll just listen, whichever you prefer. But no, I've not heard of anybody saying they saw any of their dead relatives on November 1st or 2nd. Can spirits eat real food? Do they need to? In my book series, The Bag Company, the ghosts living in the attic do eat food, and one of them is putting on a little weight. The Civil War ghosts that live out behind the building, they've built a nightclub and they're serving booze out there. But this is just my weird take on the spirit world. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Holy cow, have I run over an hour and 12 minutes. It's all that coughing I did. No, actually, I just had too many notes. If you enjoyed tonight's show, spread it around. Let other people know they should be listening as well. If you didn't like the show, why are you still here? If you'd like to contact me, you can send me an email at strangethings@arkanasa.com, or simply put a comment at the bottom of YouTube. I sometimes read them. Until next time, this is Chris James for Strange Things.
Are you coming to the tree where there strung up a man who they say he murdered 3? Strange things have happened there. No stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree.